Did you know there's a place where women can only stay with their husbands if they meet certain conditions? Welcome to Dagestan, the most mysterious country where family life follows rules that are as surprising as they are fascinating. Imagine a land of towering mountains and ancient villages where traditions passed down through centuries still shape how people live today. In Dagestan, the role of women, especially in marriage, is guided by customs that might seem unbelievable to outsiders. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying content like this and want to discover more hidden cultures, we're so close to reaching 1,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button and join us for more eye-opening stories. Now, in this video, we're exploring 13 shocking facts about life in Dagestan, where amazing women navigate unique marital traditions, often staying with their husbands only if they meet certain expectations. Dagestan is a land of stark contrasts. From its rugged mountains that seem to touch the sky to its low-lying plains bordering the mysterious Caspian Sea, this republic is a patchwork of diverse landscapes. But it's not just the geography that sets Dagestan apart, it's the people who call this place home. With over 30 distinct ethnic groups, each with its own traditions, languages, and customs, Dagestan is one of the most culturally diverse regions in the world. Nestled in the North Caucasus, Dagestan's dramatic geography has shaped its people in unique ways. The towering mountains have historically isolated many communities, allowing them to preserve their ancient traditions. In the lowlands, where life is more connected to trade and the sea, influences from neighboring regions and countries have blended with local customs, creating a fascinating cultural mosaic. The contrast between isolation and openness is reflected in every aspect of Dagestani life, especially when it comes to family and marriage. In the remote mountain villages, marriages are often arranged by families, with an emphasis on maintaining tribal traditions. Here, polygamy is more common, and family honor is deeply tied to the choices made in marriage. The customs passed down through generations are fiercely guarded, and change comes slowly, if at all. Meanwhile, in the more urbanized and coastal areas, marriage customs have started to shift. The influence of modernity is creeping in, but even here, tradition holds strong. Elders still play a central role in matchmaking, and community expectations heavily shape personal relationships. The result is a complex web of customs that govern personal life in Dagestan, rules that might seem rigid to outsiders, but are seen as essential for maintaining the balance of family and community. These geographical contrasts have also given rise to a vast array of customs and beliefs surrounding marriage, many of which are tied to the land itself. In some mountain communities, weddings are celebrated with grand processions where the entire village participates, honoring not just the couple, but the union of two families. In the lowlands near the Caspian Sea, the ceremonies are equally grand, but with unique traditions specific to the region. Dagestan's geography, with its contrasting landscapes, is more than just a backdrop. It is the stage upon which its people live out their rich and varied customs. The isolation of the mountains, the openness of the plains, and the mystery of the sea all play a role in shaping Dagestan's cultural and personal life, particularly in the way marriages are arranged, celebrated, and sustained. Let's start with one of the most surprising aspects of life in Dagestan: polygamy. In some rural parts of the region, men can have more than one wife. But this isn't just a free-for-all, it's a practice governed by deep-rooted traditions and expectations, and it's far from simple. Polygamy, while uncommon in most parts of the world, remains a recognized custom in certain Dagestani communities, where family honor and community standing play a major role. A man who wishes to take a second wife must first demonstrate that he is capable of providing for more than one family. And here's the twist: the women involved often have a say in whether they agree to share a husband. For many outsiders, the idea of sharing a husband might sound unthinkable, but within these communities, it's seen as a way of strengthening family bonds and ensuring economic stability. The decision to enter into a polygamous marriage is not taken lightly, and it's usually agreed upon only if the arrangement benefits all parties involved. But how do the wives navigate such a situation? Surprisingly, the first wife, or the senior wife, often has significant influence over the household. In many cases, the second wife is viewed as someone who complements the family unit rather than causing division. The women form close bonds. sharing not only the responsibilities of household management but also the emotional load of family life. In Dagestan, this ancient practice of polygamy isn't just about the man's choice, it's a carefully managed partnership, with the women playing key roles in maintaining harmony within the household. As we move forward, we'll see that this is just one of many traditions that might challenge your view of relationships and family life. In Dagestan, the role of women in marriage is not just about tradition, it's about resilience, strength, and navigating complex family dynamics. Women in Dagestan are often seen as the backbone of the household, responsible for maintaining harmony and ensuring that the family functions smoothly. This is especially true in rural areas, where traditional values still shape daily life. What might surprise you is that women in Dagestan, particularly in polygamous marriages, have a significant say in how the household is run. The senior wife, in many cases, takes on a leadership role, managing not only the family's finances and day-to-day needs, but also guiding the younger wives, if there are any. She is respected within the household, and her approval is often sought before any major decisions are made. But getting bet by their husbands, as suggested in the title, goes beyond merely following orders or traditions. The women in these marriages have to meet certain expectations, yes, but those expectations often revolve around maintaining strong family ties, balancing duties, and in some cases even educating and mentoring the second wife or other family members. They aren't passive participants, they're key players in keeping the household together. What's even more fascinating is the sense of community among these women. In a polygamous household, wives are not rivals but partners, working together to raise children and manage family affairs. This cooperation is what allows such marriages to thrive in a system that might seem otherwise impossible to outsiders. Despite the perception that these marriages are male-dominated, the women's influence within the home cannot be overstated. They are often the ones who make sure that everything runs smoothly, and their roles are crucial in maintaining the balance that these unique marital arrangements require. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the concept of family honor and how it plays a critical role in shaping marriages in Dagestan. While polygamy may be one aspect of marriage in Dagestan, the reality of divorce and second marriages adds another layer of complexity to family life here. Divorce, although less common in traditional settings, is not unheard of. And when it does happen, it's often surrounded by community involvement and family discussions, especially when it comes to deciding the future of the children and the financial stability of both parties. In Dagestan, the process of divorce tends to be more complex than in other parts of the world. Family honor and reputation play a crucial role, meaning that couples may try harder to reconcile even when the relationship has broken down. However, when divorce is the only solution, it is typically approached with care, and both families often step in to mediate and ensure that the separation does not cause major disruption in the community. But what happens after divorce? Here's where second marriages come in, and they are more common than you might think. For women, especially those who have children, finding a new husband is often seen as a way to regain stability. Men, too, may remarry, sometimes choosing a new wife from within their extended family or community. These second marriages, while perhaps unusual to outsiders, are approached with a sense of duty to both family and society. Interestingly, in these second marriages, women still hold significant influence over household dynamics. Even if a man remarries after a divorce, the new wife, much like in polygamous arrangements, often steps into an established role, helping to rebuild and maintain the family structure. And while this may sound like a lot of pressure on the women, they are seen as resilient pillars of the home, often ensuring that both the old and new family ties remain strong. In some cases, the first wife may even play a role in helping the second wife adjust to her new life, showing a sense of cooperation that is essential in Dagestani culture. So, while divorce may disrupt a family, it doesn't always break it apart. The focus is always on maintaining stability both for the children and the broader community. One of the most mysterious and deeply ingrained traditions in Dagestan is their approach to hospitality. For outsiders, it might seem unthinkable just how far families go to welcome guests. But here, hospitality is more than just offering tea or a meal. It's about fully integrating strangers into the family, even if only temporarily. In Dagestan, guests are treated as family members from the moment they arrive. But what makes this custom so mysterious is the extent to which hosts are willing to go. The guest, whether a traveler or a distant acquaintance, is often given the best room in the house, and they may even be treated better than the family itself. It's said that a guest in Dagestan can stay for days, even weeks, and be served the finest food, while the family sacrifices its own comfort and resources to ensure the guest is well cared for. This mysterious tradition doesn't stop at meals and lodging. In some rural areas, hosts are known to offer more than just their hospitality. They may even offer their family's services to the guest, assisting in any need they might have, from transportation to personal errands. The idea is that the guest is a gift from God, and treating them with anything less than complete honor and generosity is considered shameful. The mystery deepens when we look at how this hospitality impacts the structure of the household. For instance, if a male guest stays with the family, the men of the household may sleep elsewhere to ensure the guest has privacy and comfort, even if it means giving up their own bed for days. In some extreme cases, the entire family adjusts their daily routines around the guest's needs, acting as though the guest is the most important member of the household. This form of hospitality might seem extreme, but in Dagestan, it's a sacred duty. It reflects a social code that values respect and honor above all else, no matter how much it might inconvenience the family. To an outsider, this level of dedication to strangers feels like a mystery, but in Dagestan, it's a symbol of pride and tradition. Next, we'll explore yet another mysterious aspect of Dagestani life: the importance of arranged marriages and how these unions are shaped by family and community dynamics. Dagestan's traditional weddings are unlike anything you've ever seen, filled with ancient customs and symbolic rituals that can last for days. In fact, a Dagestani wedding is not just the union of two people, it's the binding of two families, and in many cases the entire community. The scale, the extravagance, and the mysterious rituals involved will leave you amazed. The wedding celebrations can start days before the actual ceremony. And here's where things get mysterious. The bride and groom often barely interact during the lead-up. In fact, the bride is traditionally expected to remain quiet and reserved, sometimes even showing reluctance, which may seem strange to outsiders. This custom symbolizes modesty and respect for her new family. The bride's shyness is seen as a sign of her virtue and is deeply valued in Dagestani culture. The groom, on the other hand, has his own set of traditions to follow. Before the wedding, it's common for him to undergo several rituals, such as receiving blessings from elders and performing symbolic acts of strength or endurance. These rituals are meant to prove his readiness to take on the responsibilities of marriage and family life. But the real mystery comes in the form of the bride's departure from her family's home. In many rural areas, the bride is taken from her home in a highly symbolic event called the bride's farewell. This ritual often involves a public procession where the bride is ceremonially escorted to the groom's family. What's intriguing here is the emotional weight of the event. While it's joyful, it's also tinged with sadness, as the bride leaves her family behind to start a new life. The procession is often accompanied by traditional music, singing, and sometimes even tears from the bride's family, emphasizing the significance of this life transition. Once the bride arrives at the groom's house, the celebration begins in earnest, and this is where things get truly spectacular. Traditional Dagestani weddings are known for their lavish feasts, lasting hours if not days. Hundreds of guests may be invited, and it's not uncommon for entire villages to participate in the festivities. The focus is on abundance. There's always plenty of food, music, and dancing. The lezginka, a traditional Dagestani dance, is often performed, with men and women moving energetically in celebration of the union. But the real mystery lies in the role of the bride during the celebration. Throughout the wedding, she often remains reserved and quiet, watching the festivities unfold but not actively participating. This behavior, again, symbolizes modesty and respect for her new family. Only after the wedding festivities begin to wind down does the bride slowly integrate into her new household and family dynamic. The wedding itself is not just a personal milestone, it's a communal event that reinforces family bonds and social standing. With each tradition carrying deep symbolic meaning, from the procession to the dances, it's clear that a Dagestani wedding is far more than just a ceremony. It's a grand cultural statement that remains a mystery to those unfamiliar with its significance. In the next chapter, we'll uncover another fascinating aspect of Dagestan, the rigid but intriguing gender roles that shape life in this unique region. Imagine living in a place where every village you pass through might speak a different language. Dagestan is one of the most linguistically diverse regions in the world, home to over 30 distinct ethnic groups, each with its own unique language. This vast diversity creates a rich tapestry of communication that is found in very few other places on the planet. What makes this even more fascinating is that many of these languages aren't just variations of a single language, they are entirely different with their own grammar, vocabulary, and structure. Some, like Avar and Dargan, have ancient origins dating back thousands of years, and they are spoken almost nowhere else on Earth. The depth of history embedded in these languages adds to the mystery of how they have managed to survive for so long. In some rural areas, you might find people from neighboring villages who don't understand each other because they speak different languages. This forces many Dagestanis to grow up multilingual, often mastering several languages just to communicate with people outside their own community. Russian serves as the lingua franca, but local languages are still alive and well, passed down through generations. Languages like Sez and Rutul, spoken by only a few thousand people, have mysteriously survived for centuries. Even as globalization threatens small languages around the world, these ancient tongues have managed to stay resilient. How? The answer lies in the strong cultural and community bonds that exist in Dagestan, where language is more than just a way to communicate. It's a cornerstone of identity. Each ethnic group in Dagestan takes immense pride in preserving its language, seeing it as an essential part of who they are. The Dargans, Lezgins, and many others have kept their languages vibrant through oral traditions, folklore, and local literature. Their efforts have helped protect these languages from extinction, despite external pressures throughout history, including Persian and Russian influences. The most intriguing part of Dagestan's linguistic diversity is how, in modern times, children often grow up speaking 3 or more languages. At home, they might speak their ethnic language, at school they learn in Russian, and in neighboring communities, they may use yet another language. It's a dynamic environment where language isn't just a tool for communication, it's a symbol of heritage and cultural survival. Walking through Dagestan, you'll hear Avar in one village, Lak in the next, and Lezgin just a few miles down the road. It's a true linguistic puzzle that reflects the region's rich history and complex social fabric. Despite the ever-changing world around them, Dagestan's people remain committed to keeping their languages alive, ensuring that these ancient tongues continue to echo through the mountains for generations to come. Next, we'll explore another intriguing part of life in Dagestan, the rigid gender roles that define social structure and daily life in this unique region. In the remote, rugged mountains of Dagestan, hidden away from the modern world, lies one of the region's greatest mysteries, ancient petroglyphs. These rock carvings, etched into stone thousands of years ago, depict animals, humans, and scenes of daily life such as hunting. But despite their age and beauty, their origins and meanings remain a mystery, shrouded in time and speculation. Scholars have studied these petroglyphs for decades, yet they are still unsure who created them or what their precise purpose was. Some suggest that these carvings were a way to record significant events, like successful hunts or spiritual rituals. Others believe they might have served as a form of communication between ancient tribes, telling stories, or marking territory. What makes these carvings even more fascinating is the fact that similar petroglyphs have been found scattered across different parts of Dagestan, often in areas that were historically inaccessible, raising more questions than answers about the people who made them. The images themselves are strikingly detailed, featuring wild animals like deer and ibex, as well as human figures engaged in various activities. In some places, the petroglyphs show elaborate hunting scenes, with bows, arrows, and animals fleeing from hunters. Other carvings depict what could be early spiritual rituals or tribal gatherings. Yet, without a written language to accompany them, these pictures remain open to interpretation, leaving archaeologists and historians with more questions than definitive answers. One of the most mysterious aspects of these petroglyphs is the craftsmanship. Despite being created with primitive tools, the carvings are intricate and precise. How did ancient people living in such harsh environments manage to create such detailed art? And why did they choose these remote, hard-to-reach areas for their carvings? Some researchers believe the location of the petroglyphs might hold spiritual significance, perhaps serving as sacred spaces for ancient rituals or as sites of worship. Others speculate that these high-altitude carvings were meant to be seen only by certain members of the community, adding another layer of secrecy to their purpose. Another enigma surrounding these carvings is their preservation. Despite thousands of years of exposure to the elements, many of the petroglyphs remain remarkably well preserved, as though they are still waiting to reveal their secrets to the world. How have they survived for so long in such a harsh climate where wind, rain, and snow regularly batter the mountains? This has led some to believe that the creators of these petroglyphs might have had a deeper understanding of the environment, choosing locations that would naturally protect their work. To this day, local villagers in Dagestan view these ancient carvings with a sense of awe and mystery, often sharing stories passed down through generations about the origins of the petroglyphs. While modern science continues to search for answers, these silent messages carved into stone thousands of years ago remain one of Dagestan's most enduring mysteries. High in the isolated mountains of Dagestan, the Tsakhur people, a small but resilient ethnic group, have long been surrounded by mystery. One of their most intriguing and unsolved practices involves the creation of elaborate stone structures scattered across remote areas. These constructions, built with precision using local stones, have puzzled historians and archaeologists for years. Their true purpose remains a subject of debate and speculation. What makes these structures so mysterious is their location. They are often found in hard-to-reach places, perched on rocky cliffs or hidden deep in valleys. Some of the structures resemble watchtowers or fortifications, leading to the theory that they were defensive in nature, possibly used by the Tsakhur people to guard against invaders. Dagestan's turbulent history, marked by countless battles and territorial conflicts, supports this hypothesis. Yet, there's little evidence to suggest that these stone towers were ever used in combat or even regularly inhabited. Other scholars propose a different explanation, that these structures served a religious or spiritual purpose. The Tsakhur people have a rich history of spiritual traditions, and it's possible that these stone structures were built as places of worship or ritual. Some of the structures align with certain astronomical features, such as the rising or setting sun at specific times of the year, suggesting they may have been used as calendars or ceremonial sites for observing celestial events. But the mystery deepens further when you consider the sheer effort required to build these structures. Without modern tools, the Tsakhur people moved heavy stones across difficult terrain, assembling them with a level of precision that seems far beyond the capabilities of a small, isolated community. Why did they put so much effort into constructing these mysterious buildings, and what were they meant to protect or celebrate? Local legends, passed down through generations, only add to the mystery. Some say the stone structures were built to honor ancient deities, while others claim they were part of a lost Tsakhur kingdom, hidden away in the mountains. There are even stories that link the structures to forgotten astronomical knowledge, with villagers believing that these towers once allowed their ancestors to map the stars or predict seasonal changes. Yet, with no written records and little archaeological evidence, the true purpose of these structures remains unsolved. What we do know is that these stone monuments are an important part of Tsakhur heritage. Today, many Tsakhur people still live in the highlands, carrying on their ancient traditions. Though the meaning of these mysterious structures is often discussed only in hushed tones, the stone structures stand as silent sentinels of a bygone era, their secrets waiting to be uncovered by those who dare to explore the rugged mountains of Dagestan.